Most people think tap water is safe by default, but that assumption quietly breaks the moment something goes wrong. At first, nothing feels unusual. You drink it every day. You cook with it. Your kids grow up with it. It's just water. Until one day, it isn't. Maybe it starts with a strange taste, or a faint smell you can't quite explain, or worse, a moment where someone in your family gets sick, and you can't ignore the possibility anymore. And that's where the doubt begins. Because once you question something as basic as water, it's hard to go back. People don't suddenly stop trusting tap water overnight. It usually happens slowly. First, they try to ignore it. They assume it's temporary. Maybe the pipes are old. Maybe it's just their area. Maybe it'll get fixed. So they keep drinking it. Then they start noticing patterns. They hear about others having similar issues. They read small reports or warnings. They see subtle changes in quality. And now, what used to feel normal starts to feel uncertain. So they take the logical next step. They try to fix it. Some switch to bottled water. At first, it feels like a smart move. It's convenient. It feels cleaner, safer. But over time, a different problem appears. Cost. What seemed like a simple solution turns into a recurring expense. Day after day, week after week. And suddenly, something as basic as water becomes a financial burden. Others look into filtration systems. Which makes sense. If the problem is the water source, then filtering it should solve everything, right? But then they hit another wall. Complexity, installation, maintenance, and most of all price. Because high-quality systems aren't cheap, and cheaper ones don't always feel reliable. So now they're stuck between options that don't fully solve the problem. Tap water feels uncertain. Bottled water feels expensive. Filtration feels complicated. And the frustration builds. Because the effort doesn't match the outcome. They're trying to do the responsible thing. Trying to protect their health, their family. But every solution seems to come with trade-offs. And that's where most people stop. Not because they've solved the problem, but because they don't know what else to try. Here's where things get interesting. Most people focus on the surface-level issue. Is the water clean or not? But that's not the full picture. Because water quality isn't just about visible impurities or taste. It's about structure. It's about what's happening at a level you can't see. Different minerals, different balances, different properties. Two sources of water can look identical, and behave completely differently inside the body. But most solutions don't address that. They either remove things, or replace the source entirely. Very few people think about transforming the water itself. And that's the shift. Because the real issue isn't just contamination. It's control. Control over what you're consuming. Control over consistency. Control over not having to rely on systems you can't verify. Once people start seeing it that way, their perspective changes. They stop asking, where can I get better water? And start asking, how can I make my water better? That shift opens the door to a different kind of solution. Not one that depends on constant buying, or complex installations, but one that focuses on process, understanding how water behaves, and how it can be altered. This is where some people begin exploring alternatives that most never consider. Not because they're hidden, but because they require a different way of thinking. Instead of outsourcing the problem, they bring it closer. They simplify it. They look for methods that are accessible, repeatable, and independent. And for many, that's where things finally start to make sense. Not because the solution is perfect, but because it aligns with what they were actually looking for all along. Clarity, simplicity, and control. If this is something you've been thinking about, there's a resource in the description that breaks this down in a more structured way, including how some of these approaches actually work in practice. And if you want more videos that explore everyday systems like this in a deeper, more practical way, consider subscribing. Because once you start questioning the basics, you start seeing everything differently.